Disclaimer. The content presented in this show is intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any individuals or organizations mentioned. Statements made about public figures or entities are based on publicly available information and are not intended to harm or defame any person or business. This show relies on fair use of social media posts, which are presented in good faith for the purpose of commentary and criticism. Viewers and listeners are advised to form their own opinions.
It's Circle Back right here on the Circles Off YouTube channel, part of the Hammer Betting Network, and presented by Underdog. I'm going to introduce the cast here to my left shortly. Before we do, just a couple of announcements before we get into the show today. I do want to let people know there will not be a Tuesday show next week for Circle Back. On Monday, it is Victoria Day in Canada, national holiday. I know Joey Knish likes to say that I run a sweatshop here over at the Hammer. I do not. We're taking vacation on Monday next week. So the next two pieces of content you will see on this channel are Friday's episodes of Circle Back featuring Knish, Nadu, Flup, and Jacob as well. Also of note, I get all your feedback. Send it to me, DM it to me on Twitter, respond in the comments on these shows. I read it all. I know a lot of people are asking, what happened to these Circles Off interviews? Are they ever going to come back? The answer is yes, they are going to come back. We have been building out some new studios that are in the process of being built out. They'll be move-in ready probably in early June. So we will pick those up at some point or another. There's been a temporary hiatus on that. We also got some other new types of content planned as well. So stick with us. Those will come back at some point. Maybe not in a weekly capacity like they were in the past, but there are more interviews coming on this channel in the near future. I'm Rob Pizzola. To my left, Kirk Evans, Geoff Fienberg, Jacob Gramegna producing today. And I do want to let people know, because we did have accusations of Jeff Nadu falling asleep during one of the shows. You might see Jeff on the phone a lot today. It is the week of a major, and you know what that means. Jeff, we record these Mondays. He's always trying to get the best prices, you know? He's become more of a sharp guy. So you might see him on the phone, a little distracted, but it is a major Monday. You excited?
Yeah, it should be great. It's always a major. The best majors are like, major championship golf is like a fetish of mine, so I'm excited, and the best players in the world are playing amazing.
Yep.
So it should be great.
That that's the word you chose to describe it.
Well, there's very few things I actually care about. But the things I care about a fucking lot. Mm-hmm. Like, too much.
Yeah.
But I don't care about like that many things, and this would be one of them.
All right, speaking of things that we no longer care about, I'm going to give you 30 seconds here, okay? We don't talk Elf Spaces anymore on the show.
Okay.
But I know you're still tuning in. You're seeing everything that's going on in the Elf world at this point right now. Here's your time to shine, Geoff. What do you want to say?
The content game is fucking cruel. It is a bitch. When he left his job, I do not think he thought he'd be soliciting Mo Khan 2 weeks later. There's just no fucking way that was part of his plan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the content game is hard. It's cruel. Welcome to the content world.
Yeah.
Like, he's learning the harsh realities. Now he's going to like a full weirdo engagement route. Mm-hmm. He learned from his heroes out in Vegas. It's all like very weird.
Yeah.
We need to give Geoff his flowers.
Geoff, you nailed every step of the way.
And now
this is your Mona Lisa, my man.
Can I say I crushed? I am as good at predicting what Ryan has coming next as Zalbert is at over-unders. Like, I am
best in the world.
to calling the next step as like, yeah, how about that call? But it's not just like no fight. No fight was like obvious. It's just every little part.
Now
of
there's this new show that's popping up that people are on, clearly challenging Elf. Elf already doesn't like them. Like,
there's a clear void in the marketplace.
Yeah.
It's simple because there's like we saw what happened early in the Elf show. People like that.
Yeah.
I don't like clearly it's what Ryan did to get to have a run up. Like that's not easy.
Yep.
Like that takes something. He was like, some of the shows were going like 5 a.m.
Right.
Like it was almost to a crazy level. But in the end, he deviated into something else, and there's a marketplace for that. And what built his show in the first place was people like you, Rob, people like Spanky, people like Kanish,
Jack Mack,
Geoff Nadeau.
Yeah.
Jack Mack being in that spaces. We know how Twitter works. Someone who falls in the spaces, it's up there, bing, bong, boom. Ryan used to thank me often for not going in on a burner account.
Right.
I don't have a huge following, but I have a decent following, and it just like shows that you're in there.
Yeah.
Spanky being in there, like a lot of people lent the show a level of credibility. If those people went into another space, I believe to like a smaller extent, the same thing would probably happen.
Yep, totally agree with you. And like you said, Kirk, there's other competitors now. There's the Adam and Earl space, which I've been listening to every now and then as well. And we will continue to cover the spaces here on Circle Back if they are topical and if there's something that we need to talk about. As a reminder, this is a show where we review the week that was in gambling Twitter. We do look at your hashtags. Hashtag Circle Back if you want us to talk about a topic. Elf's been hashtagging everything Circle Back. Jeff uses Ryan and Elf interchangeably, Ryan being his real name, just for people who don't know. But for those that want the spaces talk or don't, listen, at the end of the day, you control a lot of the show. So use the hashtag on Twitter. We'll try to get as many things as possible into this show. Let's start with the leading topic today, Jacob. NoVig cancels bets.
A very big topic from this week on gambling Twitter. There was the controversy with Profit X a couple of weeks ago, and now NoVig took a lot of heat. So it started with this tweet here. They said, "Hi all, unfortunately we had a data issue impacting some MLB games today. On May 10th, this led to some orders being placed on incorrect games, while others were correct. As a result, we're going to have to fully void main markets and batter props for the following events," and it lists out, I think it's 11, maybe 12 games on the MLB slate, and says, "We are very sorry for this inconvenience. Please reach out if you have any more questions about how this will impact your account." So, naturally, if you made some correct bets and got really good prices, you are going to be very upset that all of a sudden they voided the entire slate for these games, essentially. Ethan at EthanAZ_ says it's pretty outrageous and not an acceptable course of action. Even Elf was upset with this, said $11,000 in bets voided on NoVig. Oh my, I hate reading his tweets word for word, but I'll read it. "Oh my boys, this is an absolute disaster on my first day back to gambling. I just had $11,000 in bets get voided," with the skull emoji. "The good news is they're making everything right in live support, but not sure what happened here." A couple other people, Storm_Pig says, "Rushing to market to grab the sweepstakes market share has its consequences. Very bad look." Zach Forecaster20 says, "I find it hard to believe there was such a massive interest in people trading tomorrow's baseball games that it created a situation where every single bet had to be void. Mostly like NoVig, who claims to make their money market who claims to make their money market making on their own exchange." It's a tough one there. "Had a massive gaffe, and rather than it's just going to void every single bet in the market 1 minute before first pitch. Why did it take so long to figure out?" So it seemed like maybe it was a bit of like a last resort situation for them to have to void everything, and a bit of a conversation started potentially here. Pay the Big One says, "Play Profit X was Elf sponsor, fucks over at the NHL bettor. So the NHL bettor gets in bed with NoVig app, and they fuck over Elf. Hashtag circle back." I don't know about that one, but Rob, have you ever seen anything like this where an exchange or a sportsbook completely voids basically the entire slate because of an error for some of the bets that occurred?
Not the entire slate, but I mean, we saw a very similar example with Profit X and voiding bets in this sort of same discourse that happened, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks ago as well. Pay the Vig, very funny tweet here, meant to be funny, obviously. I don't think that there was any sort of conspiracy theory attached to this. You have a little bit more detail, Kirk, because Big Buck Hunter Henry, who's the head of NoVig's trading, I think reached out to you personally to offer a little bit of insight into this.
Yeah, so he sent me a voice note. Pretty much what happened, you explained nearly exactly it, but there were people on, there was a bug on the app that had been updated.
Yep.
But if you hadn't like reloaded the app, you still had that bug. So like you were saying, the MLB games were showing for some people tomorrow and some people today. And then there are a lot of people who use NoVig as, you know, an ARB site. So right when the games opened for the next day, a lot of people came in and put volume in for like these ARBs, and that's kind of where the problems arose. But just to give NoVig some credit, it's not like they left these people out to dry. They did pay out the EV. And like that was the general rule from what Big Buck Hunter told me, of like anyone who made a bet there who had, let's say you bet $1,000 and it was like a 5% edge, they would pay you out that 5%, pay you out the EV.
Got it.
I think
so. They're basically not in a position to take on like the full liquidity pool where, it, you know, if a bunch of people, you know, probably like built up six figures in liability on certain games and stuff like that. So they paid the expected value on the wagers instead so that people would at least get something from it.
Yes, exactly. And I think it was also a huge part of this that I think isn't being talked about is how much of a time crunch it was.
Right.
Like one of those tweets said, they voided a minute before games. They only realized the problem like an hour and a half before these games were about to start. So they were in the position of, we are going to either have to take like a massive risk of taking all these games.
Yeah.
Even if the EV was not that bad for NoVig to take, I'm not sure they could have calculated the EV of each bet in that time, but also I'm not sure they wanted to take, you know, a 7-figure risk and just hope the EV played out in a small sample. So I think they kind of just clicked the like disaster button of the voiding will be a reputational risk and hurt them, but it won't do anything actually that bad to the company. So I think this is one of these situations where this is a really bad look for NoVig, and especially the recs on the site won't like it. But at the same time, I do think they handled it correctly, given the fact that they had this error and the error was their fault.
It's definitely debatable. So I've worked in the space long enough to know that tech issues will happen. Me and Geoff used to work together at The Score in radio, but I left radio to go work for Score Mobile, which was the digital property of The Score. And my first job there was operations manager. So I had to handle the operations, a very tight-knit team. You have data issues, whatever, and the app goes down, something breaks. Stuff like that is going to happen. I mean, there are mistakes that can happen. However, that does not make them acceptable either.
Yes.
Okay?
Agreed.
So I want NoVig to succeed. I like the people at NoVig. I like everything that they say that they are building. But this almost feels like they are running a beta version in a live market. And that cannot happen, period. Plain and simple. Mistakes like this, I don't know if it will be devastating for them or not. But what I've seen NoVig do in recent months, and this is going to be a hurdle for all of the exchanges, especially the sweeps exchanges, is how do you get like more casual bettors to come and bet over? Well, let's hire Taylor Mathis as our chief winning officer, and let's leverage her following and see if we can get people to come over there. You know what casual bettors care about? They care that they can actually bet, and their bets are going to be honored. And when something gets canceled like this, especially someone who might have bet the entire day of baseball, that's going to leave a lasting impression. It simply cannot happen. And I was listening to the Adam and Earl spaces on Sunday night as well, where there were people who had bets canceled and saying that they weren't informed that their bets were canceled until like 45 minutes after the game had started. So yes, the game got canceled.
There was one early start game that did happen.
Right. So they canceled the bets, but took 45 minutes to get him an email, and that also is unacceptable. So to me, this is a colossal failure. It can't happen. I understand that there's going to be situations where it does. And did they take the right course of action in terms of paying people EV? Probably. Like, I don't really know what the other solution was, but it simply can't happen. And at the end of the day, I think it's a really bad look for a company that, I want to succeed and, is trying to build a following right now.
So the casuals, could be done. Because I know, Flup and a lot of, the true pros, you guys talk about a risk tolerance. None of my friends who are casuals, you guys can accept, someone who I had made a bet for me, stiffed me.
Yeah.
That is part of your risk management through your whole year. Yeah. It's it's like a business expense almost on your end. A casual betting $100, $200, $500, that concept is, they don't comprehend it.
Yeah.
They'd rather get a 4% worse line and just bet on FanDuel.
Right.
I will give NoVig a lot of credit, though. This has nothing to do with me. I don't even know the guys. I fake know them on the internet. They seem like a good group trying to make a product that we all should want to succeed.
Right.
I do even though they fucked up, and they're not idiots because they play around in the Spaces game. They probably were around a victory lap when Prophet X had an incident.
They were.
It's all part of the game. You eat, you get eaten. Yeah. It's all the machine.
Which, honestly, sorry to cut you off there.
It's all good.
It actually bothers me that they don't work together a little bit more to try to grow the whole sweepstakes exchange.
The sweepstakes.
It feels like there's some animosity there. Though,
you know why, though? Because it's still those early stages where, yes, rising tides lifts all. It's the competition between them to be the one that succeeds is outweighs the desire to work together. Back to trying to give them a little bit of credit. And shout out to the CWO. She maybe we're getting maternity walks bet soon. I will smash the first post baby list. I will smash it. Maybe
better word.
When there is real milk in the milk pickers, that is an edge. I like how they went about trying to truly hands-on their top people, talking to people who got screwed over.
Yeah.
Maybe going above and beyond, but in this world of I'm not comparing them to some huge corporation, but we all know how a corporation can just treat you or put you on hold, endless emails back and forth. They really did try to have all hands on deck. They fucked up so bad they had to. But they, in extreme effort to sort of apologize and, I don't know if there is a make good, but do their best in communicating their fuck up and trying to make their customers happy individually. Now, maybe it should have been a blanket fix. It seems like other people got different treatment.
Yeah.
They have to protect their operation. And I only know what I know from picking up bits and pieces off tweets or listening a little in a space. But I do appreciate how they've responded to how they fucked up.
Yeah, I get that as well. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, maybe I'm overly critical of this type of stuff, but
no, full stop. It cannot happen.
Yeah, because if you're holding player funds and you're taking bets and you want to be viewed as reputable in the space, then you have to honor those bets. Elf said, $11,000 of his bets got voided. Elf's not betting $11,000 on individual baseball games. Let's be real. He's arbing, right? So think about, and this is a very common use case for exchanges. Exchanges are offering great prices. You get a lot of arbors, and they want arbors. Now all of a sudden, half your, one side is canceled of all your arbs, and you're on the hook for the other side. That is a miserable, miserable experience. So listen, I do agree with you guys in that I think the appropriate action was taken. Could it have been handled better in terms of getting the release out to players? Yes. BetStamp is a tech company that I co-own. The Score was a company I worked for. We had functionality in the app to just push a notification to everyone saying this is what happened. Now, they opted not to do that, probably because there's a lot of people that are not impacted by these voids, and they don't want to send a message out to, but you have to get the messaging out quickly as well. That's part of it. When there's a problem, catastrophic issue, people cannot find out 45 minutes later as well. So I don't know. I would have handled it a little bit differently personally if I was in the role. You just got to own it and be authentic, but you got to communicate that message quickly.
So them doing what you're suggesting notifies like non-baseball bettors that they screwed up.
Yes.
Tough.
Right?
Tough. I could see it from like their personal end, but I don't think.
Well,
it felt like they almost didn't have a choice. They had to mess.
Well, we faced this at the Score many years ago, where the apps were the push notification was universal, and then we're like, well, if we have a problem related to NBA scores not working, do we want to push that to everyone? The answer was no. So we then just built out alerts for specific leagues. So if someone was on the NBA page, they'd get it. They probably listen. I don't want to say that they're a startup, but like they're in their infancy, NoVig, right? So they don't have this functionality. But at the end of the day, this leaves a lasting impression in people's mouths. And I can say if this happened to me, there's lots of liquidity options out there nowadays. It didn't happen to me. I wasn't betting on NoVig for baseball. I would be fucking pissed.
So
Pissed.
I do think if NoVig, like if there was a casual out there who had like a $200 bet that got voided that won, I'm speaking for them. Sounds ridiculous.
They would have paid.
I'm pretty certain, like
Yes.
based on how I've seen them react to other people, they would have paid that.
Absolutely. And I was about to say that about our point. And this is why, to me, you couldn't use a blanket. Because let's say you arbed it and the other side lost and you were supposed to win on NoVig.
Yeah.
We could not find an example of someone who did that like we asked in the space. I have not heard anyone. I did ask Henry about this. It seemed like they would be willing to take on that payment of if someone lost, was trying to arb and lost their skis because NoVig are voided.
Yeah.
And they weren't, like, let's say they weren't on their computer. They didn't see the notification until too late.
Right.
They couldn't cash out. I do think NoVig would have been willing to take that hit. I think there are a few really important things here. I think undeniably these exchanges have more counterparty risk than FanDuel and DraftKings.
Yeah.
Like FanDuel and DraftKings are gonna honor your bets to a degree that
As
like
long as
maybe
it's not an egregiously bad
maybe
lie.
like palps, but like even FanDuel, like I've seen some palps that they've paid out that are literally ridiculous.
Yeah.
But at the same
Explain
time,
a palp for those that don't know.
so a palpable error where, if the trader fat figured a number and it was supposed to be, plus 150 and it was plus 1500.
Right.
So I think that's an undeniable truth as much as I wish it wasn't. But I also think it's an undeniable truth that any person who is betting seriously and wants to make money is in their best interest for these companies to succeed.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's a serious bettor, I agree. For Rex, it's a different story, but I don't have any information. My hypothesis would be true rec action on any of these sweepstakes is a stunningly small percentage.
Yeah, I would guess that too.
Stunningly
You're
small.
probably right
yeah.
about that.
Essentially nothing.
I agree, but I'm just speaking to the fact that they're trying to attract that type of bettor through
Totally.
the Taylor Mathis connection. Right?
Absolutely.
The guy betting like 50 to 250, even 500, they're happy to lay 3 cents, 5 cents more juice. You're right.
Yeah.
They probably
100%.
don't. Yeah, I'm just it'd be fascinating to know how much action like a Taylor Mathis promo code garnered.
I have no idea, but there's no SGPs on these like that type of bet type. So, but we'll leave it at that. Kirk standing for the books one more time, as he's known to do on the show.
A future with like healthy exchange, with healthy exchanges is like
I would love
a future that is the betting future I want to exist.
100%. I want as many options in market as possible that we can trust, right? And I'm not saying I don't trust NoVig because of this, but it will inevitably make some people doubt not only their brand, but also the entire model. And it might be a small percentage of people. I don't care where you are in your product journey. You have to be trustworthy, and that's what matters.
But it also seems like the people, at least that I'm assuming, are like the highest volume or stake risk bettors.
Yeah.
All seemed pretty satisfied with how it was
Handled.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is I do think, and I don't know this with certainty, and I'm not able to use these sites, but I have heard of tech issues with NoVig, and it seems like that is something that they're going to have to fix and get better for sure. Like, I don't think that this is that unique.
Yep.
And like, could they survive something else?
That's the
like,
next
you
thing.
know,
It's like now
okay,
you've used your one time.
Yeah.
It's like the sports better, right? You've used your one time. What happens in a scenario where this happens next week on baseball games? Now you know.
But even in 8 weeks.
Sure. At any point. Anyways, we'll get back to more circle back topics in just a second. Before we do, a word from our sponsor. We're deep into the second round of the NBA playoffs, and while the drama is still heating up on the court, it's also gearing up on Underdog, especially with the extender coming back for round 3. If you missed it the first time around, here's what the extender is all about. Starting in game 1 of a playoff series, you can make an entry and receive a boost. If you keep playing the same series in games 2, 3, 4, and beyond, the boosts get bigger every single time. It rewards people like me and you who sweat an entire series from start to finish. And if we get another game 7, that's where the max boost hits, and it can be a serious difference maker. The extender goes live again once round 3 of the NBA playoffs starts. So this is your heads up to get ready. Underdog is one of the cleanest, easiest platforms to use. Everything from player projections to the payouts, it's all top tier. And honestly, it's just a great product to use during playoff basketball. So if you haven't yet, hit the link in the description below, sign up using promo code CIRCLES, and you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus credit as a new customer. That's promo code CIRCLES. Keep an eye out. The extender is back for round 3.
And before our next topic, if you're enjoying this episode of Circle Back so far, make sure you do smash that like button to catch these episodes, usually twice a week, but you'll still get the Friday shows for the next couple of weeks. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel. If you're listening in audio form, take a second to rate and review 5 stars. But there may not be 5-star reviews for the prices for BetBash this year. Me and Rob will be attending BetBash. Kirk and Geoff, are you guys going as well?
I don't.
Kirk's a no for sure, I think. Jeff, we're up.
I
in
got
the
a
air.
lot. I got me visiting George is my bet bash.
Okay.
Well, me
Yeah,
and Rob will
I'm a
be there.
doubtful.
And it is, well, not 99 days, but on May 5th when this was tweeted, it was 99 days away. Spanky said 99 days away from the best sports gambling networking conference in the world. 5 open bars, 4 expert panels, 20-plus educational seminars, 6 live podcasts, speed networking, sportsbook, stadium swim watch parties, a scavenger hunt, the Sports Gambling Hall of Fame induction ceremony, all at BetBash. And the first reply from Mickey here at Moneyline Mickey says, cheapest ticket, $799. That doesn't include anything. A few people were upset about this. Wolf of Walgreen says, what a grift. And Josh, at Josh, I'm not going to read the numbers, says exactly, it's all a bunch of nothing but a moneymaker for Spanky to make him think he's somebody in the sports betting world. Nobody there is giving you any information you don't already know about, with know about spelled N-O about, by the way. So maybe you should know about spelling. But anyways, Rob, you've been a few times.
I've been to every BetBash. I believe I'm being awarded some sort of honorary medallion for being to every BetBash.
What
so
number
far.
is this?
5,
5,
I think, yeah.
So it's 2 in Jersey and 2 in Vegas?
1 in Jersey, which was a one-day event. Okay, full disclosure to the audience here. Used to hate Spanky. We're now pretty close friends. I talk to him very regularly. I do want to provide that context for when I speak on this. BetBash is another sports betting conference. It's a conference. In my opinion, I've been to many conferences before, not just in the sports betting space. Some of them are complete duds. Some of them you walk away from and you're like, what a complete waste of money. To me, you get as much out of a conference as what you're willing to put in a lot of instances. For me, I've always found these valuable. I will continue to go to BetBash. I would actually argue it is my favorite week of every year. Now, the reasons for me may not be the same for other people, but I get to meet up with a lot of friends. I get to chat with other people. I get to network. People come away from this event with new accounts. They come away from it with new knowledge. Some come away from it with jobs as well, which happens. So at the end of the day, you know, it's an $800 price tag, but it's supply and demand. Like, this is basic economics. If people don't pay $800 to attend the sports betting conference, then there ain't going to be one in the future. And guess what? Every year I go to BetBash, I see the same people who are regularly attending. So obviously, there's a large number of people who are getting value out of going to the conference every year. I don't understand the complaints. I really don't. Like, if you don't like it, don't go. This isn't like selling sports betting picks to someone else. It's not. It's a false equivalency. It's not the same thing. You got to look on your face, Geoff. Like you want to say something.
To say you don't understand the complaints, I think is a little far. Well, also full disclosure, because the internet's like a crazy place. There was a time where I had a different perception of Spanky. I've gotten to know him better. I've gotten to speak to him. I've had other people I trust tell me stories.
Yeah.
He could put his crown on.
Yeah.
Like that. This Josh's tweet, I think, is ridiculous, and I don't.
Well,
yes.
Calling him a nobody in the betting world kind of dismisses the opinion right away.
That's absolutely ridiculous. That being said, you have to be able to accept from maybe not the professional gambler POV. It does give the vibe of some fucking circle jerk.
Sure.
A Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
They're black tie only? 1 year? I remember I went on a lot of rants. Right? The return customers is proof in the pudding.
Yes.
People don't come back. They don't waste a weekend in the summer if they feel they're not getting something out of it. So that is probably the greatest thing it has, is the retention of return customers. That speaks volume. Also, to get it out what you put in, that's fair. I did see the comments on this, and you're able to get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
But you're also Rob Pizzola.
Yes.
Some people are more willing to want to talk with you, share something with you.
Those people get something out of the relationship as well. It's not like it all filters one way. So it's a two-way. Even if you're a nobody,
a guy who's could be. I understand the hesitancy. That being said, if it's just a reason to get out of town, get away from the wife and kids, sign up for the super contest, checks enough boxes.
Yeah. I will say circa millions.
Circa millions. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't worry.
That's what I meant, though.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm only circa.
Well, there is a super contest. It's just at the Westgate, and this event is at circa. So I'm just correcting. Don't worry.
I'm happy you corrected me.
For both.
You could sign up for both. You could go. Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, I think that this folds into kind of two types of people here. I think Spanky wants more casual bettors, people who $800 probably not necessarily doesn't make sense, but more you're paying $800 to have a good time.
Yep.
And I could see how someone would have a problem with that spend.
Well, sorry to cut you off. If we go back to the first tweet, the first response, I think what the guy was getting at was cheapest ticket $7.99. That doesn't you have hotel, you have airfare on top of it for most people. You are looking at a $2,000 week if you want to gamble. So it is costly.
And I think that's tough for someone who's not going for business essentially. But to me, if you're a serious bettor, and you're talking about Rob kind of gets it better, but I actually think there's the other side of the coin of if you're a not well-known bettor, it's hard for you to meet people. Rob isn't going to really make that many connections because he's already very connected versus someone who doesn't have many connections. The thing is,
Rob's not going to give you time on the internet. If you're in front of him in person having a drink, you will get something out of that you're not going to get from him on Twitter.
Maybe this isn't a sales pitch for BetBash, but you know who was on my speed networking last year? Back-to-back GRP and Fezzik. So
Spanky had to have been trolling.
But if you are a serious bettor,
yeah,
and you come out of BetBash with literally one relationship,
yeah,
that is way past the EV of $2,000, way past it, and you have the upside of six-figure relationships, absolutely, if you find the right mover, the right person, the right originator, if you've got accounts. So I got to be honest, I don't think $7.99 sounds expensive at all, honestly, because it's such a unique concept.
If I'm a total square, I could go to BetBash and make a fortune having my primed accounts.
Yes.
Going
for sure.
up.
100%.
That seems like a pretty advantageous.
There are a lot of people who are like that who are there every year, where they're actually not. They're like, listen, I've actually lost so much money betting that I've run up some goodwill with these sports books. I need someone to partner with to bet, and I just don't want to take any risk anymore. That's a type of person that would exist at BetBash.
And that's not something like, it's hard to advertise that. Spanky's like, hey, loser.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to put it out
suck.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come get some money back, but it'll cost you $800. Yeah. So that's a whole other part of it.
Like there's a lot of this stuff that I don't get value out of. You know, like I tell Spanky every year, sorry, like scavenger, I'm not doing a like he says, Rob, are you going to do a I'm like, listen, if you really need people to do a scavenger hunt, I'm your buddy. Like I'll do it. But like, I don't want to do a scavenger hunt in Vegas in the middle of the summer, right? A lot of these educational seminars, again, not to be extremely arrogant, but a lot of the stuff that's being taught in seminars is not knowledge, like is knowledge I already have, right?
People can buy their own drinks. Like, who cares? No, I'm not knocking that. Like, you're there for the connections.
That's what
sure,
I'm
you're
there
getting some free drinks,
Yeah.
but someone's being like, there's no value in that. I can buy my own bottle of Tito's.
Yeah.
Of course you can.
Yes.
It's not about that. I love Spanky. Well, like, I think he's great.
Yeah.
That being said, I feel like he could be going down a road to alienate some of you hardcore pro bettors. And
I think that happened long ago, to be honest with you.
when he's like in the spaces,
Yeah.
glad handing Taylor Mathis,
Yeah.
come to BetBash,
Yeah.
speak. I think he like that would, if I was one of you,
Yeah.
that would like, what the fuck is this? Spanky, no offense, he absolutely played nice with Ryan Elf.
Yeah, so did I.
Because for different.
Well, just because I'm a good guy. I don't
You
treat
all-
people
listen,
like shit.
And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, you guys like all met at a dinner in Boston. And if I meet you in person, I'm probably going to give you so much more grace.
Yes.
When I want to shit on you, like tenfold.
Well, this
But
was
that
also
being
long
said,
before the Elf
Spanky
turn. Yeah.
probably saw with like what was happening with the spaces around like NFL playoffs, post NFL playoffs, that like there's an audience here.
Yeah.
That I can like cultivate some other pros or even some casuals. It was like we joked that spaces was like everyone, like from the universe.
Yeah.
So, Spanky, in my opinion, went like above and beyond until he finally said, like, "Fuck, I'm done with this."
Yeah.
To not like say something mean about Elf or the spaces, because he felt that it would be very good for BetBash if he could pull from it.
I see.
I think Spanky rightfully knows that if he just is getting serious people in a room, that's kind of like all in the same place. That's kind of enough for that crew of serious bettors.
Yeah.
Like just having everyone together is so valuable that that's just kind of enough. So I think it makes sense. But yeah, like last night when Spanky said there's a panel NFL preview with GRP and Zilbert, like if I was at BetBash, like there's a 0% chance I'm showing up to that.
But that's
But
like
that's gonna be the
that's like the
most hot
skit. That's
event.
like in the SNL.
yeah.
Like,
Like, yeah.
you know how
but
some
like-
conventions they'll do like a comedy like that is almost like the comedy hour of the convention. No one is taking that at face value.
No, I agree, but I do think it leans to like a bit of like the unseriousness.
Sure, absolutely, but there's still value in that. Like there's entertainment.
Yes,
like, I
sure.
literally told like I'm going to be doing something at BetBash this year. We'll announce that coming up shortly. But you know, he's like, "What do you want from me?" I'm like, "Do not give me a time slot at the same time as GRP."
Exactly.
That's all I want. I do not want to be up against GRP. And then you know what Spanky said to me? He said, "Don't worry, Rob. GRP said he wants to be at yours, so there's no way he wants to go head to head with you either," which was fucking great. But
that would be the highest attended thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
you're probably
Almost
right.
just for like the FOMO of it. Like there should be an open bar in that room for that.
But like, but it's the NFL preview panel. Like I
don't know if that's really what they're
That
doing.
is-
I don't know
They're
what
that's the moonlighting title
Yes.
of it.
Yeah. All right.
I
That's
just
fair.
I just like I
That
take,
is incredible.
Oh, I know. I take issue with the people who like act like everyone who attends this event is getting duped. That's what really bothers me. There's like this notion of people are like, oh, if you go to BetBash, you're getting duped. Like Spanky's making so much money off this event. Now listen, whether this is true or not, Spanky has told me in the past that he's lost money on some of these BetBashes before. He's broke even. To put on 5 open bar events for this amount of people, stadium swim watch party with food, you have to rent out the Circa. He would be making, if he put his entire year worth towards being part of his betting team, he would make way more than what he's making off of BetBash. However, he is making a lot in the relationships that he's going to establish throughout the event. So that's like another thing do the math. Like just figure it out for yourself. Guy's not making a killing off of running BetBash.
Impossible.
Yes.
Again, I'm an idiot. There's like the simple math of what he's putting on, how much it costs Circa. Like, I'm sure there's a relationship there and it's mutually beneficial.
It's a high-end casino.
But there's no way they're like handing out their rooms and everything that they're putting their best foot forward for it for nothing. Like anyone that's thrown anything.
Yeah.
Like a single live show, 1 episode podcast. Think about how much it costs to do anything. I don't think he's paying for his kids to go to school on BetBash. There's like no chance.
No, definitely not. All right. Keep it moving along here. This was a tweet that I saw this week, which actually had me laughing pretty hard, Jacob.
Yeah, this is from Jay Parlay talking about the good old days of baseball betting, saying, baseball was so easy in 2023, 0 research, and I hit 2 to 3 home run parlays a week, 4 to 5 total bases, and hits plus runs plus RBIs were free.
They were free.
They're free. What happened to the game I love? Rob, was MLB, was it free money back in 2023?
I can't even, like, this is one of the dumbest tweets we've ever put out here. He would have been better off writing, baseball was so easy in 97. I just parlay Pedro and Randy Johnson.
Yes.
Like, then I would be like, okay, maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe I could see how that works. Yeah, throw Greg Maddux on there. I could see how that 3-banger would hit for you. This is, I missed the boat on baseball being easy in 23.
Well, I will say with Jay Parlay, I very quickly looked at his profile, which he had a Discord server and he had a Dub Club profile. So, I guess his success in baseball in 2023 parlayed that into being able to sell plays nowadays and potentially a Discord. But what I see a lot, Jay Parlay, it's a really dumb tweet. I do see a lot of these types of tweets of like, oh, it was so easy. I can tell you baseball was not easy to win at in 2023. It was like still a very highly efficient market with a lot of people betting into it that had success. What the problem is a lot of casual recreational bettors do not understand what variance is and how you can actually win even for a longer period of time and still not have an edge. And what Jay Parlay very likely experienced because he was doing 0 research was a very positive run of variance, which was just luck. It was all luck. And now what he's experiencing is the luck running out. That's all this is. That's what happens. But the average casual bettor does not understand the role of variance in sports betting.
Yeah, like there's a conversation to be had of markets getting more efficient, but this is just not what he's saying. Like he's literally saying 0 research and I hit 2 to 3 home run parlays a week. I like how he says, what happened to the game I love? Like
the game still exists. It's like, still the same game.
It's not like there aren't home runs anymore. Like you're just not clicking the right ones, I guess. Like what does he want to change in baseball so he can do 0 research and hit home run parlays? This is one where I would love to get Jay Parlay in a room and really try sussing out what he actually possibly thinks here. But yeah, this is just an insane tweet.
What, like, I don't want to sound like Zalbert, but like, I want to see his documented 23.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think he even did in 23?
Well, he did 0 research, Geoff, and he was hitting 2 to 3 home run parlays a week. I don't even know how many he was betting at that time. We don't have any indication of what the payouts were on that, but like
he has a memory of like 2 or 3, 5 great winners, and I guarantee you he got his ass kicked in
Yeah,
23.
If there's a lack of record keeping, this is an easy way to string people along who are like tailing the picks now that aren't winning. It's like, well, I've done this before, so like you just wait until I get hot again, basically. Like that, it's probably just keeping the people and stringing them along on his dub club, essentially.
Like, it's baseball. Of course you get hot.
Yes, exactly. But every sport, it doesn't matter. Like
It's a very long season, a lot of games.
This is like the prototypical nowadays. This is how the standard dub club, WAP, winnable capper starts. They start with some sort of hot streak.
Imaginary
right.
past hot streak.
Right, when I say hot streak, I'm not talking about something that's repeatable. I'm just saying over a small sample, they either cash a big parlay, they win a bunch of bets. This is like the classic Jeff Rosa that they talked about on the Friday show, where then it just goes to shit, and they're left wondering what the hell what happened to the game I love. Nothing happened. You just never were good at betting, and you're starting to realize it now. That's what happened. That's what happened. It has nothing to do with the game you love. I mean, this is just another iteration of a tweet I see many times out there.
Ever had a deposit blocked by your bank right before a big bet? Ever needed cash at 2 a.m. for another shot at the tables, but you hit your ATM limit? Ever needed to fund an account to hit an edge before it evaporates? Well, if it has, then Edge Boost has your back. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors. Edge Boost gives you fast, reliable access to your funds, making it easier to move money when and where you need it, without the delays that come with traditional banks. For you high rollers, you can move up to $250,000 a day on your Edge Boost Visa debit card with unlimited withdrawals. This works 24/7 for instant deposits. Never wait for a wire to clear again. It gets better. Every time you deposit into a qualified gambling account, you earn cashback rewards up to 0.5%. All of this for no usage fees and no minimum balance. Edge Boost is a debit account that makes it easy to get started, with no credit checks, no minimum balance, and no usage fees. Simply verify your identity and you're ready to go. Finally, Edge Boost is a suite of responsible gambling tools to help you manage your bankroll and make informed decisions. We also have something even sweeter to tell you about this week, as Edge Boost is looking to sponsor players for the World Series of Poker. Sponsored players will receive tournament entry funds and represent Edge Boost by rocking hats, patches, and shirts for the event. They'll also be featured across Edge Boost's social media. This gives you even more exposure during the biggest poker event of the year. To learn more about that opportunity, head over to the Hammer's Twitter account at the Hammer HQ and check out the pinned tweet where you can find the Google form. But whoever you are, don't forget to sign up to Edge Boost today. Just go to www.edgeboost.bet or click the link in the description. Now, let's get back to Circle Back.
All right, we're going to get into some of your comments from last week. A reminder, we do love all the feedback here on the show. Drop us a comment down below. We'll try to feature it on the show if we really enjoy it. At the very least, I try to respond to as many as possible. A lot of you have been asking about meetups as well and potentially doing some sort of Hammer event. We do have that on the docket. We are going to schedule stuff like that. But in the meantime, me and Geoff are actually doing an event this summer. Me and Geoff appear on Mayo Media Network very often with Pat Mayo over the course of the football season. And he's doing a live show in Toronto this summer, Geoff.
Yeah, June 7th, down at the Rec Room. Come join us. I'll be there. Pizzola will be there. It's an opportunity to yell at me. Like, if you hate me, if you've threatened me, I'll buy you a drink. You can yell at me. We'll have a good time. It'll be a lot of fun. Totally like different orbit than this show, but quite a lot of characters. And like Cam Stewart will be there for those that means anything to you. Me and Rob been friends with Cam forever. Can't remember I was in the last time in a room with him. So, I don't know. It'll be a lot of hijinks. But if anyone in the comments who thinks I'm an idiot wants to tell me that to my face, now's your chance.
Absolutely. We'll drop that link down in the comment description below. It's in Toronto. If you do want to take part in that, it is on June 7th. Looking forward to seeing a bunch of you out there who already messaged me on the side, letting me know that you're coming. On to comments for this week. Usually we feature YouTube comments. This one came from Circles Off HQ. It was a response to a video clip where we were talking about the Dub Club business model. So Justin said, unless I'm missing something, Dub Club as a company doesn't come out and say every person on their site is profitable. It would be misleading if they did so right away. So your take is wrong. They're praising their top sellers, which in my opinion, I agree with you guys, is wrong because the goal is to win money on picks. As a profitable gambler, my service gets way less attention than many losing gamblers on their site. Overall, I don't believe in all of their practices, but they are definitely improving.
I do need glasses, and it's a little blurry, but if I'm seeing correctly, there is a Dub Club signage next to this guy's name on his Twitter account. Yeah, like this is just a ridiculous tweet. Their company slogan is "Win More Together."
Yeah.
They clearly imply that if you come to their site, we are going to win together. And like we talked about last week, they don't have tracking on their site. So I don't know, like, I don't think any of us ever said that Dub Club explicitly says every person on their site wins, but Dub Club clearly makes their users think that if you come to their site, you'll win money, and they don't actually take any steps to ensure that happens. I think that's what we said last week.
Dub Club facilitates the cappers on there to false advertise. Anyone can be a winner. Everyone is a winner.
Yes.
There's no ability to tell someone who isn't a winner that they aren't.
Yes.
Because they'll just say they are, and there's no ability to go about it other than like a he said, she said.
Correct.
When it is the simplest, easiest thing to prove if you are a winner or not.
Yes. The issue is not that they are literally lying. It's the false illusion that they are exactly what you referenced. Like the first sentence of this, right? Unless I'm missing something, Dub Club as a company doesn't come out and say every person on their site is. It's like, it would be like me opening up a restaurant called like Michelin Star Eats. And I serve a bunch of TV dinners, but there's like one Michelin star plate. And like, I'm like, well, not, I didn't claim all of the eats were Michelin Star Eats. Like the logic is completely flawed, but you get it. You see why. He is a Dub Club seller. He is a pick seller. And most pick sellers, they have this reaction when you call out pick sellers.
But there's so many things that like take a serious amount of effort to prove.
Yes.
Like if you say, someone says they have 119 IQ, prove it. I'm right. No, you're not that. No, you're not. You'd have to facilitate a test, write the test, get the results. There's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
Like you just have a documented sheet, and someone like Kirk, like Pizzola, even if you lost in the window, they could just see by your bets.
Yeah.
They could just see the patterns within your bets to know whether you're full of shit or not. Not instantly, but relatively quick.
Justin is also like so close here. He's saying like they're praising their top sellers, which is wrong because is the goal to win money or just make money selling picks? No, the goal is to make money selling picks. They don't care about people actually winning. Like he's like getting it, but it just hasn't clicked in his brain that that's all Dub Club cares about. Dub Club doesn't give a shit if the people win money.
It's like when Spanky, to his credit, is like pretty much everyone who sells picks sucks.
Yeah, don't buy picks.
Right. Granted, we all could agree
some
there's some
exceptions.
And this is one, like everyone on Dub Club sucks. And then there's like Dub Club, like I'm one of the good ones. Yeah. I'm actually one of the guys who doesn't suck. I'm not saying Justin does. Maybe he's crushing it. But it's not hard to facilitate proving that you're crushing it.
Yeah. That'll lead us into some of the YouTube comments. I believe the first one we have here, this is Vikas Mayakar 13. This pod has sadly started to sound like the gaming commission of World Wide Web. Stop holding folks to your moral standards. I thought this would fit in nicely right after the Dub Club conversation. I think the point he's trying to make here is like, who are you to be the gatekeepers of gambling Twitter type of situation? That's what I took away from this.
Sadly started to sound like the gaming commission of World Wide Web. Stop holding folks to your moral
people
standards.
are scamming their clients.
Yes.
We're gonna call them out.
100%. This is basic consumer protection.
Scamming your clients.
Like people need to be held accountable in the gambling space.
Yeah.
We're allowed to share our opinions.
I
It's
don't
the
know.
whole purpose of the show.
Yeah, I
honestly.
never understand
like,
these
it's
comments.
the whole purpose of the show.
I just don't understand if he's saying like, it's still the Wild West, like gambling on the internet, like it's sort of an anything goes and like it's just Darwin, like survival of the fittest.
Yeah, I think so. No, that's not how I operate. I like to talk about this stuff.
I would like this guy to write out his thoughts in a longer form comment because I don't understand it.
But whose
Maybe
moral
you can feature it in Kirk's Hammer.
Absolutely.
But whose moral standards are you supposed to hold someone to if not your own?
I agree, Geoff. I entirely agree. Stop holding folks to moral standards. I mean, that's what we do as a society. We hold folks to moral standards.
All I'm saying is, why spend money on her picks when you could save that money and spend $9 a month and have a full library of a girls' OnlyFans?
So good. Did you do it on purpose?
No, you didn't.
You don't know.
I saw your face where you realized you did it.
If you didn't correct yourself, I would have thought it was on purpose.
But like
correct yourself.
Like it's all in front of you.
Imagine this.
I have a speech impediment. What do you want from me?
Imagine this existed in another industry, right? Let's say, for example, you're like a food critic. I don't know, I'm using food a lot today, but you're a food critic, and you go to a restaurant and you watch the chef take something out of the garbage can and put it on someone's plate and go and serve it. Like, you have an onus. You're holding someone to a standard. You have an onus to speak on that, in my opinion, right? Like, why would you just sit back and be like, well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen? Like, that's not how the world operates. Like, if people are outwardly scamming other people, it's fair to call that into question and not just say, well, let them do whatever they want. That's insane behavior, in my opinion.
I mean, maybe I don't, but you have every right to comment on.
Everyone has every right.
I'm just saying, like, your expertise is gambling. You have every right to say anything you want here.
All right. Appreciate that.
If you wanted to do a show about, like, if you were acting like an expert on roofing.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Then it would be like, what the hell is Pizzola doing?
Roofing.
It also says start it to sound like. I mean, the show's been very similar to day one. Like,
maybe I have to go back and listen to like episode 3 and see what the evolution has been. Have we gotten like nastier over time, do you think?
I don't know. We were nasty off the top. Trust me.
Gotten less
I got criticized last night for being too nice on here.
I think honestly one of the like first episodes was Taylor Mathis crypto scam. We went hard.
That might have been like week 2.
That was like a lawsuit threat episode. That was our first lawsuit thread, episode 2.
But when he says the gaming commission, like in some ways that's hyper insulting because you watch videos of some of those commission conversations.
Yeah, and they're really bad.
And they're like the most pathetic things on earth.
Yeah. Well, Vikas, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Kirk wants your full rationale as to what's going on.
I want to know more. I didn't understand that comment.
Jim H, 3595. I try to shit at the airport before I get on the plane. Words to live by.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like,
you don't want to go on the plane if you can help it.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like a good standard for anything you're going to be doing for a while that you don't have access to a great bathroom.
I'm with you.
Even better, do it at home before you get to the airport.
Truth.
This reminds me of really, really old Seinfeld episode where I think George is trying to come up with a app. Maybe this was on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Apps on fucking Seinfeld.
So, hear me out. It was mentioned on a Seinfeld episode that George knows where every washroom is in the city.
Yes.
And then I think in the Seinfeld reunion season of Curb, one of the shticks was George was coming up with an app to locate the best washrooms. Does that actually exist or not?
It's a good idea.
Because I think that's a great idea. Like the cleanliness, ratings, like you don't want to be here, but it's there if you need it.
This building has a couple outstanding washrooms.
Yeah. The concourse level?
Like the bottom floor.
Yeah.
But also the best ones are on the 3rd floor.
Mm-hmm.
Where
we used to
How
work.
did you make it to the 3rd floor?
We used to work on
We
the
used to
3rd
work
and 4th.
in this building.
Got it.
So I know the building. And the 3rd floor is like the conference room, is like conference rooms and like middle of the day, just empty. It was a place to go.
It's a beautiful feeling.
You ever use the handicap washroom on the 3rd floor? I could see by your face that you have.
No, sorry, the 3rd, like, was that the floor we were on?
Yeah.
Sorry, when I said 3rd floor, I meant the floor like that's just right on top of the like front desk.
Oh, yeah. That's the mezzanine.
Yeah, sorry, mezzanine. I worked like like 8 to like 3 a.m. Like I worked like a late night shift, so for sure I rocked the handicap washroom. But I never got, our boy got like booked in the handicap washroom from the wheelchaired employee. That's a tough scene.
That's a nightmare.
So, the CEO of the Score was John Levy. Great guy. Loved working under John and team. But when we were in this building, which we're recording out of now, we had the 3rd and 4th floor. And the 4th floor was like upper management,
sales,
IT, sales, and digital. 3rd floor was radio and TV. 4th floor, John had a massive office, and he had his own private bathroom, which he never used. He would go into the main hallway bathroom, and he would be in like a stall, and he would just talk to you like while you're washing your hands or taking a leak, but he would be in that. But when he used to leave for the day, people used to use his bathroom because it was like 11 out of 10. It was like the Costanza play up bathroom, like private or whatever.
Executive washroom.
It was the executive washroom.
Yeah.
That was very desired back in the day.
Did he know?
No, he had no idea. Someone might send this to him, he'd have a good laugh about
That's
that.
crazy.
But he never used his own private bathroom anyways. He was just one of us. That was what was great for working.
By the way, I did look it up. If the app exists, there are actually a few apps that exist that do this. One in particular is designed for people with bowel conditions so that they can quickly and conveniently find a restroom. But a few of these do exist. So, yeah, the idea has been thought of. I don't know how popular these are.
Well,
but
the fact that I haven't downloaded one ever yet, maybe it's not actually even really a good idea. Maybe we think it's more useful than it is.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to find a bathroom.
Yeah.
Well, it depends where you are.
in
Like
this
downtown
part-
Toronto, you're not going to have an issue, really.
But a lot of places, like, you know, the Wendy's across the street, like, like the bathroom is locked because downtown, like
There's a homeless
people,
situation,
drug addicts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're just looking for a place to hang out.
What are you gonna do? I think we have one more here.
Yeah, one more.
One more. All right. Yeah, John. Here for the rivalry between the Tuesday and Friday shows. I want to say I'm gonna put this to bed. At least I believe I'm gonna speak on our behalf. The Tuesday show has no issue with the Friday guys. Zero. I think the Friday show is great. They seem to have an issue with Canadian culture a lot. There's a lot of, well, Kanish seems to have an issue with everyone.
I stick up for Canada on the
Yeah,
show.
but like, I don't know. Do we? I don't really have an issue with the.
I'm not sure if it's still a thing, but Nadeau might hate me.
Yeah.
I think he might have moved on.
Yeah, that
It
would be
seems
the
like
only
he
true
does.
rivalry.
He does move on. That's the thing. He's probably also like an elephant. Like he doesn't forget. So if something else came up, there would probably be residual. I like them all a lot.
Same.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I know, like we occasionally take some jabs here or there, but that's like what friends do to one another, right? I don't consider it a rivalry personally. I think they might because they were the second team. You know, they tried to elevate themselves by calling themselves the A team. You know, whatever, we'll give it to them. You know, like let them have it.
Kanish also plays like psychologist on you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was going to mention that in Return Fire. We'll save that. We'll save that.
Let's just do it now.
Let's hit it right now. All right, Return Fire. Really quickly, we're going to hit this. The one thing that fucking drives me crazy about that show is every single...
Rob, we have no beef with this
No
show.
beef.
Then a minute later, the one thing...
No, the show's very entertaining. But Jacob introduces a topic, and it's about someone in the space. Kanish immediately says what I think of that person. Like, he's like, oh, I'm pretty sure Pizzola fucking can't stand this, or Pizzola was always liking this. I don't know where he's getting his information from. You can just dismiss that. It's not real. That's the big issue. Like, when we intro a topic, I'm not like, well, Flup once said this guy is a piece of shit. Like, it doesn't matter to the conversation. That's the big issue. So whatever Kanish says that I think about a person, I would say disregard. But aside from that, I there's not much. I know they wanted to get the last word in on the gorilla. Fine, let them have the gorilla argument. That's okay. Aside from that, I didn't have an issue with last week's show, Friday show.
No, I've seen a lot of murmuring about Flup's stutter.
Yes,
Is the Hammer willing to pay for speech pathology?
hooked on phonics, I guess, would have been the thing back in the day. That's what makes him him. He stutters. Let the guy stutter through the show. If it's that bothers you that much, don't watch it. What do you want me to tell you? What do you want me
No, I agree. I like all of that.
Flip's a great bettor.
It
And he's a
doesn't even-
one-time contest winner as well.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't even bother me. I like the show. There's nothing I want to say.
All right. This is the lamest return fire ever, but yes.
It would suck if we like forced it.
I don't
or
wanna
I
force it.
like hijacked a thing that
I don't wanna
doesn't
do
bother
things
me
just for engagement.
and made it seem like it bothers me. When something they say bothers me, I will probably
Bingo.
care more than I should, and you guys will find out.
All right. Speaking of being bothered, this one's in the rundown because Geoff was bothered when he saw it on
thought
Twitter.
this was good, yeah.
And he said, Rob, I don't put my foot down too often on topics, but I want this one in next week's show. Go ahead, Jacob.
So Trav at he hate me 2_0 good account to follow on gambling Twitter says it's commenting on the NBA TopShot stage. So quote tweeted something from Peter Jennings, which said, "Remember how stupid everyone thought NBA TopShot was? People love to mock others for things they don't understand." This is from February 2021, and then Trav quote tweeted this by saying, or took a screenshot and said, "It was the blend of arrogance and condescension for a clear and obvious grift for me. Peter still wasn't as bad as Bales, though. Last reference to these NFTs was May of 2022. So talk about how everyone thought it was so stupid, making fun of them, and then 15 months later, tweets about it for the very, very last time.
Yeah, so Peter Jennings has been interviewed on this channel before. Jonathan Bales has not. And I think he's doing some sort of AI type of betting product right now in the space. He's kind of jumped from product to product after his time at Sports Insights and with Action Network as well. But what was it specifically, Geoff, that got? Because I have some opinions on this as well.
It was just a great like memory lane.
Yeah.
Being on the internet during that. They're all so smart. All of the guys. All of them that are like that got caught up in this. And I'm not dumb enough to assume even the smartest guys in the room bat 1,000. Mm-hmm. Even like Bill Gates tried to make a phone. It didn't work.
Yeah.
They abandoned it. That being said, it is like undeniable front running what I had to believe they knew had high levels of Ponzi vibes.
Okay.
And they like front ran it to the moon. And their audience, Rob, like you put it on a lot of people. You don't like to give out you don't even like to give me, your friend, a pick on a football game. Because you're like, oh, fine. Like if I tell them this, it's like 15 cents off and I'll still want to bet it. You don't even want to give it to me. And I'm like your friend who you know could lose an extra $88 in juice. He doesn't give a shit. But you won't tweet a pick.
Right.
Because you know people will take that seriously. But there were three of like the highest level respected people in the DFS space front running a Ponzi. And they're fucking collectors. And I know that means maybe they collect everything. No. There were so many red flags to this thing. You could have just hypothetically, because it was my rant at the time. I get it. Like if a LeBron or a first overall pick, people wanted to do that. It was so beyond that. It was like an Anderson Varejao NFT was going for more than you could buy a game-used Anderson Varejao NBA playoff game-worn jersey.
Yeah.
I'm not like a collecting expert, but I've been in and out of collecting my whole life, so I have some aspects of it. And it was ridiculous. And now I've turned it into maybe complaints about them as to like ranting on TopShot. But you will have a hard time convincing me they weren't. They didn't know there was a high probability they were front running like a bubble Ponzi.
Okay, so I'm definitely in the minority here. And I would say that you're in the majority when it comes to the belief amongst gambling Twitter. And there's definitely personal biases that are involved in this because I love Peter Jennings. I think he's great. I've always liked Peter. Preston Johnson, Sports Cheetah, was a very good friend of mine. He made so much money off of NFTs that he was able to buy an English soccer team. Okay? Made a killing. I don't think he has a harmful bone in his entire body. Jonathan Bales, I don't know Bales well, other than I bet on him to do a bunch of push-ups and he cashed me money. But
harmful bone.
He,
These are faceless things on the internet to people you don't even know.
But here, my
it's not like throwing water on a homeless person.
So I challenge the mass opinion that these guys knew it was a grift.
I didn't say no. I said they're smart enough to know high probability it was a bubble.
Right.
A hard one.
Well, maybe, but they were wrong. I mean, and people get things wrong. Like, so I got this wrong. I mean, I bought TopShots because of a Jonathan Bales article where he kind of explained how he thought like digital tokens were the way of the future. I'm like, you know what? This kind of makes some sense to me. Bales is putting his own money behind it. I'm going to put some of my own money behind it. And you might say, well, that's a problem right there. The fact that he put that out to the public, a lot of people made decisions based off that. And maybe you're right about that. But I genuinely believe all of these guys got high on their own supply. Like, that's what happened. Because I did the same thing. I was fucking recording myself opening packs and posting it to Twitter. I'm like, oh, I got an OG Ananomi serial number 7 or whatever. I also got high on my own supply, and then the market crashed, and I lost a bunch of money in TopShots. Luckily, I was in some other NFTs. I still got my CryptoPunk 6016 cigarette, gold chain, the dumbest purchase ever, but it's worth hell of a lot more than so it kind of balanced out. But I think the general sentiment is that a lot of these guys that got in early, they knew that it was a grift. And I don't think they did. I think they genuinely believed.
Grift's not the word. I never said grift.
Okay, so maybe I'm pushing
That's
it too
like
far.
way too strong of a
well,
word.
You said Ponzi.
A strong possibility of like a big bubble Ponzi,
Yes.
like on the cusp of it.
Yes.
There were too many smart guys involved in this group for that not to have been part of their off-air conversations. They're all too bright. They're so bright. And what's funny is, like, if we did this show 3 years ago, we'd have come back from Christmas, and there was one Christmas day where 2 Jews were yelling at each other on Twitter, me and Levitan, who I love. And he wasn't even a part of this, but I was wasted watching something on Christmas, and the TopShot thing came up. I've since, like, apologized to Adam for that day. It would have been a great segment on the show in its moment in real time. But no, there's something just doesn't pass the smell test. And I get, like, smart guys make bad investments.
Well, that's what could it just be as simple as a bunch of smart guys thought that digital collectibles were the next big thing, and they were wrong?
It was a bunch of smart guys that tried to buy a Honus Wagner, just missed, and they did something else, and they pushed it.
Yes.
That is... I'm sorry.
I will say...
I'm sorry.
Well,
like, that is just...
I will say this about, like, this Peter Jennings tweet that was quote tweeted here, right? When you promote something with arrogance, you open yourself up to mockery. Plain and simple. And I think that happened, and a lot of people saw these people getting rich quickly, and they were openly rooting for them to fail. And when it did happen, it was so easy to pile on and dump on because of the arrogance behind all of the early adopters in that community. But I do challenge people who believe that they were just pumping this or like promoting it because they wanted, like they were trying to grift people and leave other people holding the bag. They were promoting it, like I said, I think high on your own supply. It happens with drug dealers. You like, it had momentum. It's the same people who accuse me, which I take issue with, of like promoting Elf. I wasn't promoting Elf. It was just really popular in the space. Everyone was following the Elf show, and we were all in it. It's like something to talk about. I never said, "Oh,
promoting
like,
him how? Like having him on the Circles Off?
Sure,
like,
it was like a
what's
big
promoting? Being in the spaces, talking about it on the show?
Yeah, like there's no ulterior motives here.
You've interviewed worse people.
Oh, definitely, 100%. There's some very shameful ones, which
There was like a moment in time where he was like a bit of an unknown, but a fascinating character. And for the moment for which you interviewed him, I think it was very warranted.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I just view this as like a masterclass in being loud and wrong, basically, is what I see it as. But definitely, listen, I know Jennings. I think he's a great dude. Preston, like, I love Preston. But anyone who knows Preston, like, man, there's no malintent there.
I understand that, but I also think it's like a really unfair and almost pretentious place. Like, to them, it's like a victimless crime.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you are just like you're not seeing the face of the guy who lost it. Like it is so, and they're all good people. Like I've spoken to Peter the most. Probably I don't think I've ever spoken to Chester the cheetah. Sorry, I didn't mean.
Yeah. Preston
So that's
Johnson,
Cheetos.
Sports cheetah.
Sports cheetah.
Preston Johnson, yeah.
I'm sure he's an incredible guy, but it's not like you're making it like, he's spinning on someone walking by the street. These are like faceless crimes to be
you're right.
promoting and creating and inflating the prices, and they get
I agree with you on that.
gravy.
I think I honestly wasn't. I lost a little bit of money on TopShot, but I wasn't really around gambling Twitter to see what these guys did. But I agree with Geoff in the sense of like people often say like, oh, like X is a good guy, but like I think you're a good guy by doing good things. You're not like this inherent good guy. You might be like nice to your friends, but like if you do shitty things, then that like could result in you being a shitty guy, even if you didn't have that intention of doing something shitty. So like when you're in the area of like financial advice, I think you should tread very carefully, and this tweet does not look like treading very carefully.
Yeah, good point.
But even if it was by omission of being high on your own supply, like I don't really look at that as like a great excuse. Obviously, it's better than if they were like being super deliberate about it. But yeah, like I do think that falls into like a shitty area of thing to do.
Yeah.
The totality of them as a group to like DFS people was like the mega powers. Is like Hogan and Macho teaming up, and if you weren't around for it, you can't understand it.
Yeah.
It was like so powerful.
Right.
And a level of credibility that is so rarely like seen in unison.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe like the fall on this is harder because of how high they're, self included, how highly regarded and hyper. Like to call these individuals successful would be a gross understatement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
90% of what these guys touch
turn
to gold,
Yeah.
and this thing didn't.
Yeah. I think I truly, when I look back on it all, I do think it was the level of arrogance and cockiness, because a lot of people were like calling them out, and it just continued to rise.
But they're also collectors.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand it. They like a lot of them are collectors in other things, cards or memorabilia. So for them to like be playing along,
Yeah.
Like I said, there were so few players are worth something, truly. And then there's the players in collectibles that you're like prospecting.
Yeah.
And these things were selling for values that, like the highest end other market collectibles, they were dwarfing them.
Geoff, I paid like, I don't know the exact amount, so don't quote me on this, but I think I paid something like $5,000 for a Darius Garland jump shot, because I was reaching out to people. I'm like, who's gonna be a big guy
So
in the league?
prospecting.
Yeah. Exactly that, and I'm still sitting on it right now. I'll figure out what I paid for that, but $5,000 feels right. It's worth like 2 cents.
But I look, I can't act like I knew well, because I actually did lose a little bit of money, like probably in the, as Zilbert would say, the three figures. But that was the point I was making at the time of like, I remember like an Ivica Zubac card. Like to me, Darius Garland going for $5,000 is like less egregious than Ivica Zubac going for like 40, because I don't know that much about collecting, but I know it's like a massive tale of like there are cards that are worth $1 million, but 99.999% are worth like 7 cents.
There was like I said, and that stuck out like a sore thumb, that Varejao thing, because I mean it. I'm not even speaking hyperbolically. His top shots were going for more than a game-used worn playoff jersey, a National Treasures 1 of 1, on-card auto. Nothing added up.
No, I get it. Well, that was one throwback. We're going to do another one here.
Uh-oh.
It's a little bit of a surprise to both you, Geoff and Kirk. BetLab Analytics says, guys, I've been here since 2011, right along with Geoff Nadeau. We're pioneers of gambling Twitter and belong in the Twitter Hall of Fame. If ever a play I would put my reputation to go all in, it's Cavs -7. They will embarrass Indiana by double digits. This was game 2. The Cavs lost outright. They did not cover the spread. In fairness to BetLab Analytics, he took it on the chin. He said, roast me, I deserve it. But BetLab Analytics, for those that don't know, that profile picture is a man named Christopher Love, who used to be TweetyDimes on Twitter. One tweet that caught my eye was this particular one, which was a response to a tweet from former junior that says, TweetyDimes was the original GRP. It was a simpler time. And you know what? No tweet has ever hit the nail on the head more than this. Those who don't know, TweetyDimes was the OG GRP. So what I've done for you guys is I've reached out to a bunch of people on Twitter. I went to Trav, he hate me, John Warner, Brian Slim Rice, Storm Pig, AJ, and Jobo, and they've provided historical documentation of old TweetyDimes tweets. Now, TweetyDimes ended up partnering with someone that stole his account and locked him out of all the stuff, so he had to rebrand as BetLab Analytics. Nobody even really he's like kind of irrelevant in modern day Twitter.
When did BetLab start?
Right around COVID times.
Okay.
Roughly around COVID times.
And you're just finding out it's him?
I've known for a while, but he just doesn't tweet the way he used to. Like that, there was 2014 to 2019 was the true Tweety heyday. He's Philly area guy. He knew Jeff Nadeau. Jeff Nadeau's also in and around that region. They used to tweet at each other and stuff. So anyways, these are the most popular ones. Every single one of these tweets that I go through, I'm reliving another day of my life, okay? So we're going to start with baseball Tweety, which was a big one. This was his sport, baseball, okay? So I watched every inning of every game this year. I have nothing other than Nationals-Dodgers battling it out in the NL for the World Series. But what gambling Twitter picked up on at the time is that he watched every inning of every game in baseball that year.
It's impossible.
Which is statistically very improbable to do.
Off the bat, like, George wouldn't lie like that.
Okay.
George wouldn't.
All right.
George, he wouldn't. He gets caught lying. He loses track of how many times he's had the cinnamon apple pancakes.
Yes.
But he would never say that.
Okay. Tweet number 2. I like you. I like how you're drawing the comparisons already. We have to play Nelson Cruz. This was in DFS. J.A. Happ threw 2,000 fastballs. 91% were slower than 93 miles an hour. Nelson Cruz has 40 home runs versus fastballs 93 or slower. KC Bubba responds, they play on the same team, so I don't see how that's relevant. His response, good point, Bubba. I was just reading off numbers, but thanks.
This is a very confusing one.
I'm a big fan of Bubba. That is, I don't even know what to mean.
I would also say that someone who watched every inning of every baseball game probably wouldn't get this confused.
Yes, should know which teams they're on. Baltimore from minus 152 to minus 185, last to minus 205. Line makers don't know what they're doing. They just throw any number out there anymore. David DeMann responds, pitching change for Oakland.
I see what you're saying, but I'm not going to lie. Like, GRP is a much more aware fan.
Okay, so you're seeing differences in awareness already.
Yeah, like GRP is much more up to date on like transactions or those sorts of things as it relates to, say, the NFL weekly grind.
All right, we're going to keep it going. Another baseball one here as we're in the baseball category. This one happened in 2017. Prop bet, most total bases, Ozuna plus Votto minus 115, over bets plus Nelson Cruz 3 units, winner. Terrence says, not hating, just wondering how this is a winner. Votto walked. Pretty sure that's not counted as a total base. And then TweetyDimes does believe that walks count for total bases.
You see, like, George is reading the rule. Like, he's reading the...
No. There was one tweet, remember he had...
he was like, I hope this means they win the Western Conference.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're right.
I hope this means that it's the
He had
playoffs.
like 1,500 on it or something.
Yeah, not- Yeah.
OKC
He bet-
to win the West.
No, it was the Clippers.
Clippers,
And he
yeah.
then was worried that it meant, like, they need to get the first seed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that
After
is
already
pretty
betting
similar.
Yeah.
$1,500.
Well, this was in 2017.
Oh.
2017. And then what happened was A few years later, he made the exact same mistake. First play crosses the finish line. Rafael Devers over 1.5 bases winner. Slim says, how? And he said, because he scored. That's 4 bases.
Wait, what? That's way worse.
So he got a single and then got brought home. So
That's so
not even
much
close.
worse.
That's like a
That's
wa- a
worse
wa-
than thinking the walk counted as a
That's
base.
way worse.
Way worse.
A lot of,
this isn't
like-
even close.
lot of
Did
amateurs
watch
will
every
get the
inning of
walk
every
thing
game,
wrong,
though.
But that nobody would.
No,
not
yeah,
even
I
a
do
novice
ag-
better would think.
And
that's
I'm
the
also
winner.
going to defend GRP again and to say the Clippers thing was basketball, which is like his hyper niche
Wild West.
Yeah.
thing, right? That he sometimes dabbles into because he's a gambling addict. Like, not the only one. We all have got dark passengers where we'll bet sports we don't really know that much. This guy makes it like baseball is his absolute wheelhouse.
You watched every inning of every game in the year, and then this is the last baseball tweet. I love Bryce Harper so much, I'll let him fuck my girl for an autographed baseball. Just that's it. That's the entire tweet. Very weird, uncomfortable tweet.
Like you could
Probably.
You could have in 17 bought a Bryce Harper autograph ball for $125. So it's
Seems pretty extreme.
it's like
Yeah, it's very out there.
does he get to reclaim her after Bryce?
I would.
Sorry, I didn't.
Done sloppy seconds. I don't know if we want to go there. Next 3 tweets are personal beef, Tweety. This was when he called out Pro Football Talk for being purporting fake ass news. And Pro Football Talk responded saying, only thing fake here is your record, which honestly might have been one of Florio's best disses ever. This is when he was still very much aware of what he was doing.
Florio was at a level where he could wasn't big enough where he couldn't read his replies.
Right.
This was still in a sweet spot where he was big,
Yeah.
but still at a level where, if he wanted to, he could play in his mentions.
Yeah.
Now he's just,
Well, this was
would be
2016.
impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible now to respond to everyone.
Anything.
Unless you're Elf.
Yeah.
Want to see Black Panther, but I'll catch a matinee while everybody at work and school. Fuck that, LOL. Chuggett said, how about skipping the matinee and attending school? And he responded, how about I fuck your mom while your dad's at work? Pretty extreme. But back in the day, this kind of stuff, man, this is what gambling Twitter was all about.
That's like going from 0 to 100.
George would never do that. George would never go he would never tweet about fucking your mom while your dad's at work. That's just way over the top. This next one I didn't think of for a long time, but if you actually look, so TweetyDimes lost 13 units that day and told
This is to Chernoff.
told people to chill out on losing 13 units. Chernoff responded, well, to be fair, 13 units is 13% of bankroll. Not sure telling people to chill after losing 13% of a bankroll in a day is the best way to go about this. He said, suck my dick, pussy your girl too. I can say whatever the fuck I want, you fake ass Linus without his blanket looking motherfucker. But I was reviewing all these things. I'm like, holy shit, he went after Chernoff. This is back in 18, man. Back in 2018. We now have offensive Tweety. Think I found my Halloween costume. Maybe a little offensive, but still kind of dope. This is him dressed as a terrorist. He has Jägermeister bottles taped onto his vest here. Which
Jagger
is,
bomb.
Yeah,
With
Jagger.
Rebel.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
You're
Now
the
I-
last one.
Yeah.
Don't
Got it.
don't
Got
do
it.
this.
Don't
Nobody. If you're looking at this thinking that's cool, don't do
No,
this.
exists on the internet forever. What other offensive stuff did he have going on here? Oh, yes. Oh, this is a really bad one.
Don't say the word I blocked out.
Yes.
Oh my
Kobe,
God.
Big Ben, and Jameis Winston all win a ring in a year they were accused of
R word.
R-word.
Whoa.
I hope Michael Carter Williams R-words someone next.
Michael Carter Williams, an actor? Is that a
No,
basketball
he's a
player?
basketball player.
played for the
For the
76ers
Sixers.
at the time.
He was a second overall pick, I think.
No, he was later. He was 11, but he won rookie.
Well,
of the
okay, that's
year.
what it was. Sorry.
His career went downhill after a strong rookie year.
Yeah, Philly traded him and got off at a high point. But yeah, this was also in a time where people didn't realize that tweeting the most insane things ever could have repercussions. I feel
2014, 15 retweets, 15. That would be a huge amount of retweets in 2014.
Yeah,
that like went hugely viral for all the wrong reasons, obviously. Yeah,
this is an insane
the
tweet.
reply. That's funny shit.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's not, man.
It certainly is not. And then he was beefing with Nadeau for a time, and Nadeau made up a story. Well, I've been able to piece this together that TweetyDimes drives an Uber. And he was very upset that he made up this story about Nadeau driving an Uber. That Nadeau made this up about driving an Uber. And this has nothing to do with, like, this is not a funny tweet in and of itself. Maybe it is. Jeff's laughing a little bit. But he's, like, trying to, like, defend himself. It actually kind of, like...
You know how when we were kids, be like, your mom works at McDonald's?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that was, like, the joke to... Now, I guess, like, your mom drives DoorDash, right?
Yes. We move on to conspiracy, Tweety. Not quite as bad as the
But
offensive
him and
one.
Jeff were
Friends or rivals?
They made up.
They've made up now, I think, yes.
I mean, we've all been there with Nadeau, and now, like,
Yeah,
ride or die.
we've all beefed with him at some point.
And now we're all Nadeau crew.
Yes. I don't watch tennis, but why is Venus Williams a 10 seed, an underdog to a 14 seed? Let me find out. They set traps in tennis, too. He is convinced that traps are being set in tennis because the lower-seeded player favored over the higher-seeded one. Classic casual.
Yeah, that's
better.
most classic.
Yes. Somebody asked where he thinks Greek Freak is from in reference to Giannis. He's not from America. Please tell me you don't think he's from where he just had his first soda of his life just 2 months ago. What? This guy's trying to explain to him that the Greek Freak is like what
is Greek.
And he's like, he's not from America. He just had a soda. It's like, that's the point, Tweety. He's like, a little bit mentally out there. And then he couldn't do a write-up today because he had to test run his Antonio Brown vaccination card at the sports book and make sure it works first. Fingers crossed, he's on his way.
This is 2022. He was still around.
You know what? This might have been the new Tweety faking to be the old Tweety at the time.
What is that? This was like COVID?
Yeah, I
What
think
is he
basically he's
talking
trying to get
about?
into the sports book with a fake vaccination card. That's why we call it the Antonio Brown vaccination card.
Oh.
Got it.
Which is kind of funny, but like also probably don't have to tweet about it either at some point or another.
Was he a tout?
Oh yes,
Like
we're gonna
he
get
sold-
it.
okay,
yeah,
sorry,
we're gonna
I
get
don't-
it. No, he sold picks. The whole
That's-
thing.
yeah.
The whole TweetyDimes shtick was he's a pick seller and he lost multiple bankrolls over the year. The complete book of sports betting by Jack Moore is a recommendation to Tweety to read. He put, nice. Is it relative to gambling? The book is called The Complete Book of Sports Betting by Jack Moore.
I think it touches on the subject.
That took
like
me
that.
way too long, I'll admit.
Okay. More in the peak stupidity. He tweeted something and then responded saying, thanks, Wayne. Glad you got my back. Let's keep cashing. Except he responded from the Wayne account and forgot to log off
Ryan.
and log back in.
You forgot to log off this account and back onto Tweety.
It's a tough one. I mean, some people have been there before, right? Getting with the burners. A half point is only 20 cents. So all you people better not post a baseball play minus 120 or more. Swear to God, I better not see it. It's the same thing. TweetyDimes, historically known to buy points in games, off of 3 and off of 7 for the 20 cents. So people telling him not to buy points, he's saying that I don't want to see you laying more than minus 120 in any baseball game. It's the same thing.
There's no correlation to those things.
Those are
Also, why are like half the letters in his sentences all capital?
This is also part of the allure of Tweety. He also ends a lot of sentences with colons, semicolons, and commas. We don't understand how that ever happened, but it's part of the allure. He also had a infatuation with crabs and gravy, and people used to message him about that, and he would respond with like this one, wait, you mean you never had crabs and gravy? You're kidding, right? You ever heard of anyone mixing crabs and gravy?
Never in my life.
It's like banana marinara, basically.
Yeah, well, that's what as we go through this, he is like
More
a
Zilber.
mix. He's not GRP to me. To me, he's more like a mix of GRP, Zilbert, Sean Perry, Seablaz. Like he's like everyone in one.
Hey, I just had an idea. Can crabs and gravy be my GRP meal?
Yeah, you know what? We could do that for the old GRP.
Shout out to Tweety.
Shout out
All right.
to TweetyDimes.
I'll finally get it in so I can
that
stop
sounds
getting
gross.
roasted for not doing it yet.
Oh, that's disgusting, by the way. I don't wish that upon
Well,
anyone else.
I'm going to try it.
Yeah,
We'll see.
We're going to see. We have my all-time favorite. Drinking rum and lettuce, or whatever that is, looks like escarole, or maybe even cabbage. I don't know. Anyways, cheers. This guy got a mojito, and he has absolutely no fucking clue what is in the cabbage. Drinking
really
rum and lettuce, or whatever that looks like escarole, or maybe even cabbage.
This guy rules.
This is such a... This, to me, is first ballot Hall of Fame Tweety Dimes.
Like,
That is a spectacular.
I don't know who he
stupid
is
tweet.
because it's like, it's a combination of so much like lack of awareness while being so defensive and vulgar.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who has this combo that we interact with today.
It's why he's a one of a kind. This is why he in his original tweet said he deserves to be in the Twitter Hall of Fame. It's because of stuff like this. You can't replicate this. There is no replication for someone not knowing what that is. Okay, bottom tweet here. One and only double max of the year. Just $10. I'll even refund it if it loses, but we aren't even having to go through all that. DM if. Top tweet. Hey, y'all, what's a double max bet? That's as stupid as saying the Eagles won a double Super Bowl. How can a max be a max then double? Get off Twitter. Those are literally 1 year apart from one another. Actually, looks like 3 months.
Yeah.
March 8th and December 15th. Gave out a double max of the year and then calls it stupid and tells people to get off Twitter. Lack of self-awareness, to your point, Geoff. This is where we get into the pick selling stuff. Hates when people told him to stop selling picks. You want to make a difference in life? Stop the sales of heroin. Stop the sales of crack. Not a fucking 3-day sports package, you idiots. I mean, they're all bad.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I agree. I'd rather someone I care about like have bought a 3-day sports package than like disappeared on a heroin or crack bender.
Yes. You know what
Agreed.
you know what I just noticed about this tweet? Right at the bottom. Big man on campus.
Yeah, there he is.
Geoff Nadeau responding, but we'll never know what that... I don't think that response is still there.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
his account is gone.
That's it. These accounts are long gone. Both. When you lose a max bomb and can't afford eclipse glasses, so you got... This guy's staring directly in the sun
is GRP.
during
Yeah,
the
that's
eclipse
very
This is GRP.
with eclipse gum packs over his glasses. This is also one of my personal favorites. So good. Holy fuck, man. My windshield's just broke. I'm definitely going to die today. I can't see. Grab my game of the year and celebrate after my funeral.
Okay, it's crazy, but I actually like on the levels of like engagement baiting. I actually like this is my game of the year. I'm gonna die today. Play my game of the year. I actually like this one.
It's like tout playbook 101.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty good. And my final, and one of my favorites. When you're running cold, it's the same feeling you get about yourself when your dick is shriveled up after being in the ocean all day.
If only Frank Rambo was around to make like 35 Tweety burners. Mm-hmm. Like GRP treatment gets. Like,
So if he so by the way, those existed. There was lots of TweetyDimes burners.
Okay.
Like the parallels.
so I mean, parodies, not burners.
Yeah, but like there was fake. This was in an age of Twitter where you didn't get banned for creating copycat accounts. So there was raw Pizzola
And it was probably
copycats.
easier to create, like less verification levels. I could just create extra burner dummy accounts.
100%. I think. Oh, we do have this one.
Read it. Please read it.
I stand with Robert Kraft. This was when Robert Kraft was at the Rub and Tug when it became a thing. 25th birthday, friends took me to the geisha house where they laid me on that table and poured buckets of warm soapy water all over me and washed my balls. Man, it was the first day I knew how a woman should treat a man. And my responses there could have gone my whole life without hearing this story. Imagine
How did I
tweeting
not
that.
know
What
about this
an
guy?
intro to a tweet. I
stand
stand with
with
Robert Kraft. That's the headline.
Because he experienced a bunch of buckets
Oh,
of warm
man.
soapy water all over, and they washed his balls. That's very. That's your look into the life of TweetyDimes.
This was a good finish. Like in a fireworks show, they usually like save a great, like the big one for the end. That's good. That's a good finish.
I was trying to bucket them by like theme. My favorite will always be the rum and lettuce. I think that is actually maybe the best tweet of all.
Yeah,
it is insane to me that someone doesn't know what a mojito is, but then they actually take a picture of it and they post it and they call it a rum and lettuce or maybe escarole or cabbage. Like the actual. That is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
You also know he like clearly stuck with people because people had these tweets for years in their
I was
camera
gonna
roll.
say, how did-
100%. That's like another is like it wasn't really. I was trying to use the Twitter search function, which is broken, and I tweeted about that. But people had receipts, and a lot of those are now deleted. Like they don't exist. They're with another account that scrubbed the old account. So for people to actually take note of them and save them is a testament to the quality of character that he was on gambling Twitter. And to Jeff's point, I don't see GRP when I look back on it, but I see like a mix of like elements of GRP, elements of Zilbert. Like I see a lot of lack of self-awareness.
But lack of self-awareness doesn't mean stupid.
Right.
Right, like you know,
he
back
was both.
But no, but I'm not even comparing the two. But back in the I've had tit for tats with like Rufus, who's so freaking smart and one of the best bettors.
Yeah.
About like sometimes a lack of self-awareness. It
Yes.
has nothing to do with stupidity, but this is an incredible parlay of like vulgarity, stupidity, lack of self-awareness. I don't know. Like Sean Perry might really be the only person who checks, like he's vulgar in his replies.
Yeah.
He doesn't have awareness. He's pretty dumb in how he goes about things, but it's like a less cultured Sean Perry.
But Sean Perry's not funny. He was funny.
Yeah.
Humor. You're right. That's a fourth box that Perry doesn't have.
Yeah. Tweety, he's just a legend. That's all I could say about him. He like the nuance.
Some of the tweets are like he's like a baby who's never been outside in the world before.
But you guys, you picked up on some of the nuance, right? Like random capitalization, the way sentences end. He didn't know. He never said disgusting. He said discussing. Okay, like Jeff says, library.
Listen,
He
I can't make fun of him.
He
for
always
that.
would say goddamn, GOT, goddamn. Like that was a big thing for. He had this like nomenclature that everyone just used to use. And whenever he was going to release a huge play, he'd tweet out all caps, Max Bomb Alert. That was the thing. I got it made onto a t-shirt, which I still have. I have a t-shirt that says Heat Wave Coming, which was also a Tweety nomenclature. All that stuff. Huge.
There was like a Tweety merch.
Yes, there was. Corny. He used to call everything corny. You're fucking corny, man. You're so fucking corny. That's what he used to say. Anyways, we're wrapping up Tweety. We're on to the chopping block. These are items that are not grander topics, but we did want to incorporate in the show because you did use that hashtag circle back. What do we got first here, Jacob?
So first up, I don't know how on earth this was found, but
Incredible.
Somebody found footage from the 2005 World Series broadcast where Pope Leo the 14th was in attendance, just named as the Pope. He's from very famously now from Chicago. How could you possibly find footage from the 2005 World Series? Like, who would have known about this? But Pope Leo was in attendance watching the White Sox.
I think he knew like people who knew him or were friends with him knew about it.
They
so
knew
it
he was a big White Sox fan. So I'm sure someone dug deep into like big White Sox games.
No. It's simple as like people who knew him at the time knew he was on TV.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And now he's the Pope.
yeah, now he's the Pope. And like, let's find this documented of him.
But
Remember when he was on TV?
How would you even find this game? How would you know what game Like, did somebody watch back the entire series to find this like 5-second clip?
Like
It
someone
would
had
be
the
like
picture.
saying Jason was on. Like if Jason became the Pope.
Yes.
And he's at Game 1 of the Stanley Cup.
Yes, but you realize how funny that is when you say that. Like, it's to me when I saw that. By the way, this doesn't. I have no opinion on Pope Leo as a pope or whatever. I'm not saying it felt like. What's the best way I could describe this? Almost like it undermined his credibility as a pope.
Totally agree.
That he was at a baseball game at any point in life. You know how I know how stupid that sounds, but like when you think of the pope, like the
you
leader
think their
of
whole
the
life, they didn't live a life before.
Exactly. You do not think that these people had like human interactions where they went out in public. So when I saw this, I was actually laughing. I was like, it's so funny. It's really such a fucking funny clip.
The Pope, it's like your second grade teacher. Like
Yes.
you don't think that she had any life before like being like she's not an actual person with a family and was a child at one point. So yeah, and just I mean an American Pope, not that I know anything about Pope, that just is so weird.
I honestly, and I don't want to turn this into a politics thing because I really don't give a shit about a lot of politics, but I was surprised that President Donald Trump did not victory lap the Pope being American and like say that it had something to do with him. That's all I wanted to see this week from a content perspective.
I think there were some old Pope tweets being anti Vance at least. So I think that's why
Got
you didn't see
it. The Pope is anti-Trump.
It
then.
was, I would say though, 'cause there were like some tweets where I wanted to give like credit to.
Yeah.
But then it seemed like I don't know who originated it because there was a high level of Twitter plagiarism going on with like the Pope, the Chicago jokes.
Oh my God.
400-yard
Agreed.
Pope
Yeah,
before
4,000
400-yard passer.
Yes.
A Pope before Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Like, how did this happen?
Yeah. All right.
Next one here, we've got from Gambling Sheriff at @WhatIsPlusEV. Says, hey, Bovada official, what the hell is this? You void the market because of an incorrectly listed team. Reds played the Braves, not Astros. Then at 2:30 a.m. after the Dodgers game goes under by the hook, you unvoid them and mark them as losses. We free rolling customers now, and it's a screenshot showcasing the voided and then loss on the bet. So this is crazy.
Well, so if this actually happened,
Yeah.
unacceptable, definitely. I'll speak from experience on here. It's been a long time since I could tell you that I did consult for sportsbooks in the offshore industry for a while. And there's very likely an explanation of what happened here where there was some sort of automated mechanism that ran and overrode what the trader did previously. This does happen a lot. The tech in the offshore industry is really bad. Not an excuse, but I will say it's extremely unlikely that they were trying to free roll the customer. It's more so likely a bad process internally. So I know whenever these come up, we always get tagged. Again, just speaking from experience, most of these books do not just want to completely fuck over the player because it harms their reputation, but there's tons of horrible internal processes that are in place. Not saying it's acceptable in any way, because it's not, but just providing an explanation as to why it could possibly happen in these types of instances.
The next one is from @FarleyBets, who we've talked about on this show before. Does he sell picks or does he just give out picks?
No, I think he sells a newsletter that has picks in it.
I actually don't even know. I think he's got I thought he was quiet I thought he left Twitter. It was the last time we talked about him when you said he was leaving Twitter?
Well, actually, I think you're right. But anyways,
Right, yeah.
he's had big beefs with Rob in the last few months in regards to the style of betting. Rob taking a more analytical approach, I guess, model approach, where Farley Bets is more of a watch the game and piece it together from there. But post here, I'm day one into an AI program at one of the most prestigious schools in the country, and one of the first lessons is how current LLMs are the most sophisticated machines, and the most sophisticated machines are still significantly flawed. Yet these high and mighty sports betting modelers want you to believe their algorithm is the most predictive tool since John Nash's governing dynamics. The hubris is fucking unreal.
LLMs are language learning models, for those that don't know. I do a lot of research into AI. I use AI pretty heavily in my life nowadays. There are so many things that are wrong with this tweet. I don't want to spend forever on it because I've spoken my piece on Farley before, but this is absolutely like a false equivalency. Like intelligence and predictive modeling are very, very different things. So first and foremost, that's the dumbest thing ever. The second thing that is completely moronic is I'm day one into an AI program. Here's what, it's like someone being like, this is my first day at medical school. I'm here to tell you why these surgeons don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like completely dumb. And then to end it by saying the hubris is fucking unreal after making this point is self-awareness, not zero, negative. Like could not put a more, like this tweet encompasses everything I can't stand about this guy. And that's plain and simple. And with sports modeling, the one thing that people don't get, and Kirk does a lot of sports modeling as well, you do not have to have a perfect model. You are never going to account for everything perfectly. You just have to have better probabilities than other bettors in the space. That's what it's about. No sports modeler is ever going to say that their model is perfect. We don't do that. There are lots of flaws.
Does he hate sports betting models so much because of you? Is it a you?
At least partially.
See, last time we did this, if Rob said that, I might have been and accused him of main character syndrome. But it does seem like Farley is subtweeting Pizzola every time he picks this lane.
Yeah,
but maybe not directly him, but definitely like partially.
Pizzola and cronies.
Yeah, yes. And just to talk about what he's saying in this tweet, like the scope of a sports betting model is so much tighter than the scope of an AI language model that despite an AI language model being built by far more advanced people and using far more advanced techniques, it's actually not that surprising that it has significant flaws because they're literally building one of the most ambitious tech projects in the history of the world. So, like Rob said, the equivalency makes no sense. Like trying to predict what's going to happen in a sports game using a model is much easier than trying to essentially create human intelligence.
I think a lot of this just stems from, obviously there's different handicapping styles. So there's people who are just strictly handicappers. And I think Farley's like a big believer in a lot of motivational stuff, right? Teams losing in a certain way, revenge angles, stuff like that. But you can test that stuff in sports. Like my whole point was that it's not like modelers ignore this stuff, right? I don't ignore revenge angles. I've just done a lot of exhaustive research into that and realized that they don't have any predictive value going forward, so I'm not going to include them into my model. Like that's where I think the disconnect is.
But they'd be priced, if it was something relevant, it would be priced in.
Well, I think somebody would be onto it for sure. Like these have existed for years, right? Like think about the angles of like a coach being fired in a sport. And there's, I don't want to say it's a narrative because I actually do think there's something to it about, team playing better in front of a new coach or something along
human nature.
But a lot of this stuff can actually be measured to some capacity. So it's not like I dismiss it. My whole thing is like, if it's actually a thing, test it. And I think too many times people in the sports betting space, it's regurgitation of information. I'm not speaking to Farley directly here, but lots of people hear something and they think it's a thing going forwards, right?
But this is just also to defend you guys, modelers, such a gross misrepresentation of what anyone who models and models fantastically actually believes. You all know that like there's holes,
yes,
trap doors. You're hoping for like can't speak to your edge, but you're hoping for like a 7% edge, which still leaves you a 43% trap door.
Yes.
Like so, how does anyone equate that to foolproof?
Oh, I'm with you. Last thing I'll say on this, and maybe Kirk can speak to it as well. I don't want to get into too many details on this, but I actually do leverage some AI for some modeling stuff nowadays. So I'm not dismissing, like, modeling is just going to evolve, right? Like I used to be able to beat NHL with like the most basic models. that used to happen. Even baseball, right? Just like Monte
2023,
Carlo
no
sims using
research.
steamer project. 2023, I didn't
No
even have to
research.
research.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but there's
Hitting up
evolution.
1 to 2 home run
right?
parlays a week.
And it comes down to what the competition is in the space. And to me, right now, sports betting is as competitive as it's ever been, in my opinion. So the stuff that used to work and like very simple handicapping techniques, in my opinion, those are the flawed approaches nowadays.
Yeah, so I was looking for Farley. I read his newsletter, and he spoke about this, and I posted it in the Circle Back group chat a while ago. He said, I was very proficient in math at any level of education, took advanced math courses, blah, blah, but I'm not a modeler, bracket or parentheses, although I can't imagine it's that particularly difficult. So he has a serious problem with modelers, but he thinks it's easy.
The
so.
hubris is fucking unreal.
If I could model
yeah.
and I was like extremely proficient in math, wouldn't I but I didn't wouldn't I still like use it and bring it up just as like another layer of my handicapping? Even if I was into revenge games or situational factors, it's like, wouldn't that just be another tool
I don't know.
use if it's easy to create?
But you would, all the things that you believe that exist in sports, you would try to work them into your model, regardless. Anyways, it's just a lot of, I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say.
Yeah.
Of like you can use it even like just to have, but again, it's like we're so off base of like the reality of what Farley bets is, so it's kind of hard to say.
I'm day one into an AI program at one of the most prestigious schools in the country. Honestly, congrats.
Yeah,
I hope you.
good luck. Crush the program.
I think I actually think this is a great program to get into nowadays. So fuck, you know what? Let bygones be bygones. I hope things
Smart
go
enough
really
to
well for
go
you.
into that field and
Totally.
try to improve and learn more.
Totally agree.
So there was a pretty big cash out on a parlay that was covered by BR Betting over the course of the week, and it was a $369,000 parlay that the bettor cashed out at $114,000. So I don't know what financial situation this person was in, but that's a lot of money, of course. The bet ended up being, it would have won had the bettor not cashed out, but cashed out for the $114K. So as some sharp bettors here, what do you guys think of this decision to cash out?
I'm so sick of like cash out conversations. Most bettors, most of the sharp guys are in the comments of like, well, he shouldn't have cashed out. He should have put X amount of money hedged on this. It's like, I mean, the guy probably doesn't have like $100K available. Like, it's these unrealistic expectations. He would have won. He cost himself expected value by cashing out. We know that. But the fact that he clicked that cash out button and walked away with $114K, honestly, I can't blame the guy. If that meant a lot to him, better see that than the instance where he ends up with $0. And listen, there are mathematical formulas and whatever that you can throw into the equation. Every single human is different, in my opinion. I hate the cash out.
How much did he bet? Can you see like the risk?
It's a bit small.
Bit small. But yeah, I think there are a lot of interesting cash out conversations to be had, but we never have them.
Yeah.
Assuming he's just like a
Looks like about 2,000.
oh.
But it's like a really long shot parlay, right? Like you could see all the pluses.
2,000 on this bet?
Yeah, it's two.
It's like maybe 1,900.
It's two hockey games that
It's
he
a
bet.
10. No, it's a 10-leg parlay.
Oh,
Yeah, this is just showing the
last
last two
legs.
legs that are live.
that deep.
All right. Well,
That changes things a little bit.
So there's two
Good
legs
question.
left, and he cashed out on both.
Okay,
It
yeah.
was the Hurricanes and the Golden Knights. When they both
yeah. Like again, I'll never really give someone shit for cashing out for 114K when he might never have that opportunity again. The fact that he's betting $2,000 on a bet like that is a bit troubling. But yeah, I don't like most of these conversations are typically pretty bad.
I wouldn't give him shit for cashing out, but I would say like if you're just going to cash out, why don't you just not include those last two
Yes,
games?
exactly, Jacob. Like if those two legs are going to be the last two legs, and you know that when you get there, you're going to cash out.
You don't
anyways.
know that. It's all like just part of a dream, and you're like, I know that's easy to say, but then it's like he would be presented with the cash out as that the 8th game was ending.
Well,
to
it's
end
like
the
it's like my
parlay.
buddies who are
And
always
then it'd
like,
be like, why did you bet that 8th game? You should have left it at a 6th gamer.
My buddies always add Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football to the parlays because they convince themselves, well, if I'm up a lot, I have a chance to hedge. But I always just say to them, like, don't include those. Like, if you're perfect going into those, why even put yourself in the situation where you have to hedge? Just don't include those games. I think that's what Jacob's getting at.
Yeah.
I agree. I used to often just tack the Sunday night on to the parlay because it was like, it'd be great to get the Sunday nighter and have a $200 bet that pays $1,800. Cashing out, it's like a choose your own adventure. It's like your own adventure book, whatever you feel comfortable with. If you're a true wreck, like, I can't speak for you guys. I know if I put like 10,000 into a book this morning, like, I don't say red flags, but it wouldn't be that easy for me.
Yeah, I know.
And I have all the access. I've got
Geoff,
I'm not in debt.
Even
I'm
for my
in good
situation,
standing.
to get like $150K, like I have to move things around, withdraw from some others, or I got to go into cold storage crypto. Like, it's not that easy for anyone to be able to move those sums of money.
To me, these conversations are like when people get mad at the blackjack player for not playing perfect strategy when they're at the table. It's like, we're playing a game that isn't logical. So why are we like trying to back end logic in? Like, he bet a 10-leg NHL parlay.
Yeah.
Oh, but he should have bet an 8-leg parlay if he knew he was going to cash out. It's like, he's just a very wreck gambler, and wreck gamblers are going to wreck gamble.
Well said.
The real GRP had a bit of a heater this weekend, so it was Mother's Day, and we have roasted George for buying his mom lottery tickets for Christmas. Well, decided to double down on the lottery tickets for Mother's Day. Says, there's proof that I'm really a pro gambler. Even when I get my mom her Mother's Day gift, I'm always looking for an edge. I get her lottery tickets instead of a silly gift, so I have a chance to win millions. So basically, he's thinking he can inherit the money, and if he gets her this gift, it's a gift for her, but also if it wins, it's a gift for him on top of that. And then, after buying his mom lottery tickets for Mother's Day, also tweeted a photo of a stash of, it looks like Diet Cokes and Gatorades. And is that like coffee?
Coffee. It looks like washer fluid.
I think
and he says,
you think it was reversed order?
Yeah,
Geoff?
I think it's reversed order.
You got the credit card first.
Yeah, which makes the fact that he went on a shopping spree. Sorry, Jacob.
Sorry, I'll just read it first. He says, Mom gave me the credit card to get her some milk and eggs, so I just loaded up, and it's a big stash of those drinks I mentioned.
And then poor mom, because she watches the news and MSNBC's complaining about how much eggs are.
Yeah.
And she sees her bill. She's like, they're right about the eggs. Sean Perry, George, mom's credit card, they unite over it.
I will say, I do see in the top left there that he bought those charcoals. And he got the grill going in mom's backyard. I don't know if you saw him cooking up the steaks in the
He got the barbecue going.
The barbecue
he said
going.
barbecue.
He said
in
barbecue.
The video,
yes,
Americans.
He did. It's true. I said grill. I Americanized it, but he said barbecue.
Listen,
just the 13 Starbucks fraps is just such an egregious purchase. Like, what are we doing here, George?
The best was, I think it was flop. But he found an edge and he exploited it. Like, your mom gave you the credit card.
He's betting like
literally 100% EV.
He's betting like thousands of dollars on the NFL draft, and he bought his mom $40 worth of lottery.
It's
tickets.
disgusting.
Well, he's definitely a shitty son, but you know what? I'm here for this
40,
content.
like-
I want him to win the lottery, and the sister, who's apparently very bright, like, George is going to be in for a rude awakening.
Imagine his mother
George is going to
rewrites her will to leave everything to the sister.
Buddy, that's not everything's going to the sister, but when George's mom passes and George wants $1, he's going to need to ask the trustee, which will be his sister. There's no way George
Add this
is
to
being
the agenda, by the way, for you and George.
We'll
need
break
to
it down.
discuss this. Yeah.
George's gift giving to his mother is a repugnant quality.
Yes, I agree.
Like, you could get something that also benefits you. Like, we've all done this move. A few years ago, got my dad a rangefinder. He's older. All he does is ride around the cart. It gives the GPS anyway. Rangefinder out of his bag into mine.
Yep.
Like, you could buy a new toaster, a new toaster oven, like things that are for your
bigger
mom.
A new TV in the kitchen.
Yeah, but things that are essentially like you are going to get all the benefits of while getting credit for giving a nice present.
Very smart. Very smart. And speaking of repugnant.
The next one from our good friend now, Matt Zilbert. He's on Cameo now, if you want. And I Run So Bad 1 says, wish you don't block me as I'm his biggest fan. So Zilbert says, all right, you're unblocked, just don't do anything dumb. He replies, thank you. And then unprompted, brings it up. Since you're a fan, let me give you an early scoop. I was accepted onto Cameo to do those celebratory videos for customers. We'll probably charge $50 to $100 a pop. So we're entering the 3-fig territory here. Think about what you'd want to commemorate. So if anyone doesn't know what Cameo is, you could pay celebrities to give shout outs like happy birthday wishes, congratulatory messages. They'll record a personalized message and you gift that to somebody. So in theory, somebody would pay Zilbert to read a celebratory message to somebody else. Yep. That is what Cameo's for, and now Zilbert has signed up.
Yep. I was on Cameo for a bit. They did like a big venture into the sports betting world and tried to get everyone on there. And I think I probably did like a dozen, and I donated all the money to charity as well. That's what I was doing the Cameos for. What does a Zilbert Cameo look like? Like for me, people would always message being like, my friend fucking sucks at betting on basketball. I want you to flame him. That was like probably 75% of my messages. What does a Zilbert Cameo request look like?
Like what would I do, or what would...
Like what's he going to get? People messaging him.
It'll be people trolling him.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, say hello to my brother and wish him a happy birthday.
It's more like harass this person for a documented record. I would, if I was writing one, I would say I would want to congratulate my friend, like Steve,
Yeah.
who is the best Super Bowl over-under bettor I've ever met.
Yeah.
Like almost because he, like if you said who's a better over-under bettor, you or Spanky, just as an example, he would say himself.
Yeah.
So I would want him to just have to congratulate someone else for being the best at what he takes so much pride in. That's what I would do. Congrats, Steve, on having the best record on the internet in MLB May over-unders.
Yep.
How about that call?
How about that?
I do want to say about Zilbert, not relevant to this. I was on a Spaces like last week or something, and he was going in on Jason Alexander about how...
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant George Costanza, Jason Alexander. But
no, that's his name, right? Jordan Alexander?
Jordan Alexander, yes.
Alexander, sorry. Jordan Alexander, about how it's so crazy that Jordan Alexander doesn't follow Zilbert, but comments on all his stuff. And Zilbert specifically said, I would never do that.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in my head, I checked. Zilbert does not follow me. He comments on all of my things. I never respond to him. So when he said that with such conviction, he nearly convinced me I was delusional. But yeah, that just, to me, was a sign of Zilbert has a bit of an ability to fudge the truth.
I would make him...
I used to say that to people, by the way, but now, because of the For You tab, it's changed everything on Twitter. Like, I get served so much content from people I'm not following that it's a little bit different.
I mean, I'd probably make him do something with a cigarette, too. But yes, a quick side note, what sucks for, I'd say, like, people on the, like, calling myself a creator is probably a stretch, but on, like, the follower level of me, when like the follows don't even matter anymore, that sucks. What I mean by that is if I create content and I post it and it doesn't even get to the people who follow me, it's like people in my tier are fucked.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Agreed.
Like the people who've consciously wanted to follow me aren't even getting the shit that I'm sending out.
Yeah.
Like we're in it's a hopeless tier of content creator.
Yeah.
What do you think Zilbert is expecting to get? What when he made this, what do you think? Because he's obviously confident this is going to work. What is he thinking people are going to approach him?
I don't think he's confident.
No, I just think he wants to make a buck.
Needs
He
a
says
few
think
bucks.
about what you'd want to commemorate. So I think he's going to get people to like, yeah, I don't know,
I think he's happy.
Send
if
my
you're-
buddy a message because he won 10 straight bets.
Yeah.
You know?
But if
Yeah.
for $50, $100, he's happy to be self-deprecating.
Right.
Like he needs.
Cameo keeps a large
Yeah.
portion of that as well. Like
That's like that's a unit right there.
Yeah,
Unit or
well,
two.
it's there. You know, mid. Sorry, what was it? You used to say
He
mid
says
three figures.
Mid three figures.
Well, it's not. Even there.
Those are for the big.
He's in mid two
futures, though.
figures. That's for sure. Mid two figures. All right. Just want to wrap up this week. A little bit of a somber note, but I unfortunately had to find this out through Twitter myself, and I did want to pay tribute to someone that's been pretty meaningful in my life over the years. Brian King passed away last week. For those that don't know, he was Kinger999 on Twitter, Western Canadian. I came across him in 2014. We've exchanged DMs on Twitter monthly ever since then. And unfortunately, he did pass. And I just wanted to say that, Brian was a really great guy. We connected through hockey analytics. He was the inventor of a metric called PDO, which is a luck-based metric. But he was also a huge football fan, diehard Ravens fan. I could never reason with him about the Ravens, but we connected on a personal level. We talked music a lot. We were both big Slipknot fans. And all sorts of other things. He loved his daughters. He'd message me about them all the time. And the world lost a really good one in Brian King. So if I do get any information on a potential GoFundMe or any causes, I'll include that in future show descriptions as well. But just wanted to take a moment to say, rest in peace, Kinger. You will be missed.